Hello everyone and welcome back to another album review, and in this video I'm going to review Arizona Baby by Kevin Abstract. This is the newest release from Kevin Abstract, mostly known nowadays as one of the leading members of the biggest boy band since One Direction, Brockhampton. Back in the day, Kevin Abstract would just do some mixtapes that didn't really get that much of an attention up until the point he released American Boyfriend, an album that had a bit of a different touch in the new terms of hip-hop music, and it also brought to the table some lyrical stuff that you don't usually see in lots of hip-hop albums, such as homosexuality. But even though addressing some of this stuff that society fortunately finds it less of a taboo nowadays, it's with Brockhampton where Kevin Abstract's career and from all the other members actually blew up. Their mixtape All American Trash might not get that much of an attention, but when they released Saturation, they blew up, like completely blew up. The Saturation Trilogy, 3 albums released by Brockhampton just in 2017, was one of the biggest things happening in hip-hop this year. These 3 albums took people by storm, releasing lots of many different stuff in terms of production and in terms of sound, fusing so many different elements of music, making for highly diverse albums and also with emotional and touching lyricism. But what's the most important part about Brockhampton is the chemistry between the members. All of them are fused so well together in different songs and even in different styles of hip-hop, going for some more aggressive and some more mellow stuff. But the whole energy and the whole connection between those members is not something that you see every day, especially when we're talking about such a huge collective of members. Me personally, I'm not the hugest fan of the Brockhampton stuff, though I really appreciate them. I did like the first Saturation, I like the diversity and all of those different musical elements and the chemistry between the members. But the next releases, even though they would sound more cohesive and with better production and some better choices in music, they didn't manage to grab my attention as much, and I thought that there were a lot of moments where some of the songs might sound really uninteresting and forgettable. 2018 was a rough year from Brockhampton after the absence of one of the what people might say was one of the most important members of the band, which is Amir Van, who they decided to kick out of the group after some sexual abuse allegations against him. Despite all that though, they managed to release their studio full-length album in RCA Records, and Iridenses in my opinion was a tight and nice moment in the whole Brockhampton discography. After this point though, I saw some of the Brockhampton legacy to just kind of fall apart. The Iridenses album was not that much talked about compared to the Saturation Trilogy, and some of the members released some solo stuff, but not something that would turn heads. Kevin Abstract released this album in 2019 in 3 different parts. After a post he made having 3 different dates, there was this assumption that something new is coming. In the first date he released the 3-track EP Arizona Baby, having the same album cover and the same title, featuring the 3 first tracks Big Wheels, Joyride and Georgia. The album starts with a bang with Big Wheels, having this nice banging trap beat, and I was like, okay, I see you. This is cool. A nice and strong introduction to the whole album. It's kind of unfortunate that this song was actually really short and I would like something more from it. Unfortunately, Joyride doesn't continue with something more energetic and more dynamic. Instead, we have a song that is way lower on quality, both musically and with the delivery of Kevin Abstract. The beat has a jazzy feel to it, but it's like so bland and it's so just forgettable just playing in the background. But what really bugs me about this song is this god awful autotune. Like, this sounds so bad, it sounds like something I would hear out of a mumble rapper or like from Travis Scott or Young Thug at their worst. And it's hard for me to take this seriously, and unfortunately the same thing goes on with the next song, Georgia, which also has a laughably bad autotune chorus. It doesn't fit with the whole aesthetic of the song, and once again there's nothing interesting to the beat as well. It's just a part in the background. It sounds so flat, it sounds so just bland and uninteresting. So as a result, this first leg of the album with these 3 tracks had me really worried, because we're talking about an extremely mediocre and majorly disappointing release so far. Then the second part is released, called Ghetto Baby, with also a different cover, and instead of making things better, in my opinion, it makes them even worse. Ghetto Baby has the 3 first tracks, which makes it for a mediocre experience, but the 3 tracks that come next, Corpus Christi, Babyboy, and Mississippi, are even worse. And we're talking probably about the worst moments out of the entire album, and it baffles me. Corpus Christi does not fall into the worst ones. It starts with an okay guitar melody, it's kind of decent, and there's an okay spoken word delivery. But once again, what really kills the song and breaks the immersion is this awful auto-tuned chorus. But the 2 next tracks are even worse. Babyboy just follows the same awful direction, also having a ridiculously bland beat that it's almost non-existent. It's so low to the mix, it's so frustratingly almost non-existent. And it's not like I have a huge issue with autotune. I remember that when I heard the first Saturation album, I really liked the autotune out of this album. I thought it was one of the best characteristics about this album, is that the autotune felt so more unique, and it felt like it would fit better with this context of the album. It also created that confusion, not only with me but with a lot of people, that it was female singers just singing with the autotune, but they were actually the members of the Brockhampton themselves. And that was a big and pleasant surprise, especially for me. I like this sort of autotune. I like the way they just portrayed their voices with a more sort of feminine approach. It's a different approach, and it fits for the whole aesthetic they were trying to present with the album. Unfortunately, with this new Kevin Abstract album, not only do I not see this whole appeal from the autotune I would be used to from some of his parts on Brockhampton, but instead we're talking probably about some of the most generic and some of the most excruciating examples of autotune I've ever heard in an artist. It really goes to some of the lowest points, and it baffles me because there are a lot of things in this album that are portrayed really seriously, like the lyricism on this album. I love how sentimental their lyrics are. I love this whole message about homosexuality. I am intrigued in these love stories, despite not being a homosexual myself. The stories are well portrayed and the lyricism is really good, but I cannot take this seriously when the autotune is so laughably bad. And out of all this, Mississippi is by far the worst one in my opinion. I don't like anything about this song. Like, this whole kooky and silly delivery on the chorus is just atrocious, and there's nothing I like about the beat, there's nothing I like about the verses. And when it also comes to the musical standpoint, this album sounds like some of the most boring and some of the most forgettable moments out of the Brockhampton albums. Those beats and those melodies lack of any sort of energy. They're just so empty, they're just so flat and hollow. They barely do bring any sort of emotion. So when it comes to those 2 parts, I was majorly disappointed. I was not expecting something as bad as this. Fortunately, with the release of the entire album, we get 5 more songs, and I would say we at least take some of the best moments of the album. I would say that the third and the last part is probably the best out of the entire album. It's not that much because it's that good, but at least I would say it's the most bearable. Like the song Use Me, for example, at least it tries something more interesting with its sampling. You know, we would still feel like something out of the forgettable moments in the Brockhampton discography, but but at least this one is kind of short and bearable without having an excruciating autotune part. Pitch, in my opinion, is one of the better moments of the album so far. It has a nice smooth melody with guitar, some okay deliveries, not only from Kevin Abstract but from some other members from Brockhampton that are featured in this and some of the other songs of the album as well. And I would say that despite being smooth, it's one of the most dynamic and one of the most energetic and vibrant when it comes to production. Unfortunately, this part falls a bit off once again with the song American Problem. This kooky delivery and these silly piano notes can't make me take this song seriously at all. The song Crumble has possibly the best delivery from Kevin Abstract out of this entire album. Only thing that I don't really like is this really simplistic and forgettable guitar melody that it's nothing really that special. And then this song immediately transitions to Boyer, which is one of the most banging moments of the album. The album starts with a bang and it also ends with a bang. We're taking once again a highly energetic and dynamic trap beat. It's one of the better moments of the album, and it's a shame that once again this track is also really short. I was really disappointed with this. I wanted way more for it. In just 31 minutes of material, I think I got almost nothing other than just from a nice introduction and a nice ending portion with just a middle section that it's full of filler with crap autotune and some ideas that are just poorly executed both in terms of delivery and in terms of production. Even Kevin's delivery, I would say it sounds most awkward than ever. I don't get that much of a feeling, that much of a passion. It lacks of pretty much anything from just good delivery to just some good musical ideas, and even in terms of production this album was not something really that special. Despite being strong on lyricism, and it was a good idea that he decided to just put this in 3 different parts. This was not enough for me to make me more interested. The ending result is what it is, an album that I don't see myself coming back to it ever again. I'm going to give this album a 4 minus out of 10. What's your opinion on this album? Like it, dislike it, why, and what do you want me to review next time? Let me know down in the comments. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe for more content like this. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye.